Hey, welcome to Cultivating Clarity. We're your hosts, Talei and Ximena, and this is where your journey to self-discovery and fulfillment begins.
In each episode, we are going to explore the worlds of creativity, purpose, and community to bring you inspiring stories and practical advice on how to live a life true to yourself.
So let's get intentional, let's be vulnerable, but most importantly, let's have some fun along the way. We're talking about our week. We're just talking about our week. We're talking about what's been coming up, and this phrase, it's time to use your oil, kind of grabbed both of us, right? Like it kind of grabbed both of us,
Yeah.
like a real heart level. And we were just kind of like hooked on this thought of like, it's time to use your oil. What does that mean? What does it look like? And that's what we want to talk about for the next couple of minutes. And our hope is that as we speak, it would be a call to action for you, for me, for us together. That it would be a call of action, that it is time to use your oil. And what does that mean, Ximena? Like what? Share with us what you've been picking up on this. Like, what does that mean? It's time to use your oil.
Do you know, one of the uses of oil is to keep things burning. Like people in the ancient days would use oil to keep a lamp burning. And I feel like one of the analogies, if you like, of oil is find useful when it's burning in that context. Like it's find useful when it's being used. There are so many other analogies, and I think we should all like try and bring them to the table to unpack and discover, because another one could be how useful oil is to fuel, but also how useful it is to heal. People use oil to put in wounds to heal.
Really?
Oil can be...
do you know where they do that? Like I didn't realize that. Like I didn't realize that oil was used to heal. Do you have an example? How do you know?
Yeah, one of the properties of oil is to clean, to disinfect something. Because of its texture is very pure, and it can be used to cleanse a wound. It could be used to clean. And also it has a property that is really good for like our skin. Like we have oil in our body already. So for us to use oil, like girlies, we put oil in our hair, we put oil in our face. Is great because we already have some of those oils in us. So yeah, that's another property it has. And also, I think oil is used or was used in the past to anoint or to set apart somebody or something.
That's really good. Yeah, I'm getting some as well, some ideas around oil, and this, like, oil is something of value.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like essential oils. I'm thinking of like the extraction process to get oil of any kind. It's not just a simple like, oh, here's a seed, like, and you just get the oil. Like, I really feel like understanding the process of extracting oil from a seed, and even that extracting oil from a seed is profound and something that we should probably talk about at some point. But that process...
Wait, Paul, let's do it, because when you are getting that oil, when you're extracting that oil, there is crushing, there is pressure, there is brokenness. And it's interesting because I believe in, like, from my perspective, I can kind of see that our personal oil can be found in vulnerable places, in like the wounds, in the weaknesses, and like out of that juice that comes out of that, like out
Yeah.
of our tears, out of our sweat, out of those moments of is where
Yeah.
that kind of oil is
Oh, yeah.
found.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, we talk about this a lot. We talk about purpose, we talk about identity, we talk about intentionality. And we may have spoken about this before, but it's an analogy I use all the time in my work is this idea of the apple tree and that the
Yeah.
whole tree and all of the fruit is contained within the seed of the apple. And
Yeah.
you can count the seeds in an apple, but you can't count, you know, the apples in a seed. That
Yeah.
it's multiplication and that connection between that seed being within us, right? Like we've talked about your purpose, your identity. It is that thing that is resonating at your core.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
seed of who you are. It's always
Yeah.
been there. And when
Right.
you cultivate that seed, when you allow that seed to go through its process, to go on its journey, when you allow yourself to go on that process of becoming
Yeah.
all that you're destined to be,
Yeah.
right? Letting
Yeah.
it's time to use your oil and allowing that process of oil extraction to come to
Yeah.
life. As that
Yeah.
seed comes to life, it's
Yeah.
it's that process that you're talking about, right? That we're like getting our little fingers on of, oh my gosh, it's time to use your oil. The oil is within you. It's already in you because
Yeah.
it's in the seed that's in you. Oil comes from the seed. And the process of a seed coming to life
Yeah.
is it has to go into the ground and it has to, all the layers have to come off. It has to die. It has to go into the earth and get covered by dirt. A place that we don't like to go because it's dirty and it's hard and it's grubby.
Yeah.
But it has to die
Yeah.
and eventually, right,
Yeah.
it becomes
Yes.
everything that it's destined to be. And it doesn't have to try, it doesn't have to
No.
pretend. An apple tree can't become an orange tree, right? Like we can't be something that we're not, yet we try so hard to be. And so there's that picture of a seed coming to life, but then there's that same picture of that seed and allowing the oil to flow from it. And that you were talking about that process, right? Of
Yeah.
crushing.
And that process is what makes it one unique and two very expensive.
Oh, say more.
Very expensive. Unique and expensive. And we all have it because we've all been through crashing, we've all been through pressing, we've all been to being hidden for a season. And, you know, whether it is life circumstances or just the things we go through, we all have that oil deep within us. And often we see it as so precious that we don't really use it.
Mm-hmm.
But the encouragement that we felt this morning was use your oil. It's
Yeah.
time to use it. It's time to use the very essence, the thing that keeps you burning. It's time to use the thing that has cost you a lot. Because when you use it, you discover what it is, like the fragrance that it has. You discover the purpose of it.
Yeah.
And whether it was through pain that you got a little bit of drops of oil, you discover the purpose of that pain. Whether it was through just learning, you discover that. And you know, it's whole that concept of is your life being used to help people, to bless other people. Like it's taken away you being the great piece of value. It's actually multiplying your value, using it, taking it out there, giving it. This concept of givingness, like being so content with what we have that we just want to give. And not only do we want to give something, we want to give what's costly. We want to give what's expensive. We're unafraid of being rejected. Because, yeah, does that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
I feel like it's also such a different approach to anything else out there because we always want to get a lot. We want to
Yeah.
get.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole concept of using our oil and giving what is most expensive to us is so radical. Like it's
Yeah.
so huge.
Yeah.
But there is where love is found. There is where true connection is like, yeah, where healing is found, you know?
If you're thinking about the seed and that process it goes through, the crushing or the death, the end result is multiplication, right? That's the end result. The end
Yeah,
result is abundance.
yeah,
Abundance without the striving. An apple seed does not strive. No seeds do. They just simply be, and everything on this earth, everything on heaven and earth conspires for this seed to
right,
become what it's created to be, whether it's an
right.
oak tree, an apple tree, us. And I think that process, when you think about, well, what comes up for me and something that I have to process through and work through is that initial, like, oh, what's it going to cost? What am I going to miss out on? If I die, if I have to be that seed that goes through the process of death, you feel that, like you feel that moment of just like, oh,
Right,
am I willing? And that is a decision you have to make. It's not easy. It is a conscious decision.
yeah,
Am I willing? Am
yeah,
I willing to go through that process? But then also realizing when a limiting belief is trying to prevent you from going there, because the limiting belief is, what am I going to lose?
yeah.
If I'm dead, I'm
Self-preservation.
dead. Yep,
Yeah,
self preservation. I'm
yeah,
going in, like, getting crushed does not sound like fun. Getting, to have that oil extracted, not fun. Going into the earth and like having all of the hard outside shell and layers taken off, not fun. That's the healing
no,
process, right? That's the
yeah,
awareness process. That's the
yeah,
vulnerability of like allowing those places to heal. And you need courage for healing. You need courage,
yeah,
So for this seed to flourish, all the hard external stuff's got to come off. You've got to get to that soft little interior bit before the shoots start to come up, before any kind of growth can happen. But everything that's needed is contained within the seed. And so the message I feel for us, as we're talking about, it's time to use your oil. It's time to use your oil is everything that you're going to need for the journey. That oil is within you, the seed is within you.
yeah,
Heaven and earth is conspiring with you, for you to succeed, to become all that you are designed to be.
yeah.
So the choice is release yourself to the process
Mm,
or hold on and do self preservation because you don't like getting dirty.
wow. Yeah, and that is pretty much the difference between love and fear. When we are working from a place of love, oh, we just want to give. But when there is fear, we just want to keep.
Mm.
And what's keeping you and me from giving? What's keeping us from giving? What's keeping us from letting go and surrender? I don't know. I feel like we should all just try and remember a moment where we were given something that we were surprised and blown away by, and remember the joy, like that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And become givers, become generous, become compassionate, become merciful.
Yeah.
And I know these are words that you think, oh, they're big words, but they are costly words. They're expensive. It is
Mm.
expensive to be generous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. And you can
Yeah.
be generous with so much more than money. You can be generous with time and excellence because it's a heart posture. And it comes out of wanting to use everything. Think about your life. You only have one chance to give it all, yet we try to keep it. And I feel like fulfillment and like enjoyment and like that contentment comes when we use everything.
Yeah.
When we don't hold back, when we just use it.
Yeah.
And practically, like, we don't want to be all up there. We want to be so practical that everybody in the room feels encouraged today to give. Whether it is to our husband or to our friends, we can just give. Like, they can be
Or
just
to
these,
ourselves.
right, to
Like
ourselves.
to in the reframe of what busy society and shooting always wants to put on us. So like when we're talking about giving to when I'm talking about giving to yourself, I'm thinking about the journey that I've been on as a doer and as, you know, someone who has given a lot. So when you talk about giving, there's a
Yeah,
piece in me that goes, oh, I have given a lot, and it has cost a lot and it's come out of this doing. But there is a flip on this, which is really beautiful. And when you're giving out of that place of like out of your oil, the thing that comes from the depths of who you are, there's endless supply. And it's
yeah.
easy. It's easy because if you think about another thing that oil does, it lubricates. So you think of those big
Mm,
machines,
mm,
right? You
mm.
put a drop of, if the machine's squeaky, you put a drop of
Smooth.
oil, makes it easy. Yeah. Oil makes things move easier. And so
It
when I feel like, Jimena, when you're talking about that place of like giving, it's giving out of that place of not shooting, it's not heavy. It's there's a decision that needs to be made, but you find that it's actually easy and that there is joy in it once you
Yeah,
give yourself to the process, and it is absolutely stunning. Absolutely
it
stunning. And I feel like the takeaway for me is like, how do I consciously live in this place more? Where the true essence of who I am is at the surface. It's at the surface, and I'm doing life. I love what you said about it's not just about financial, it's about how you're showing up. It's about that spirit of excellence. And you're
right,
giving from that place. And
right. Yeah, there's
that's
nothing like somebody
beautiful.
that's stingy. Let's just say it because it's true.
Yeah.
When you meet somebody that's stingy, you feel it and you feel like the pull.
Yeah.
And I feel like we weren't meant to be that way because
Yeah.
there is so much. And the opposite of that is this abundance
Yeah.
spirit that we just carry. And it can it can set a tone in the room. It can shift an atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
When you welcome people to your house, but also when you just remain present in a conversation, when you look someone in the eye and you love them without saying a word, when you are
Yeah.
being loved, like when you just walk in love.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's the essence that has been placed in the depths of our hearts. And when we allow it to come out, it's just stunning. And
Yeah.
it's the most beautiful version of ourselves.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it heals us. It heals us. I really felt that as we were talking earlier. There is something that we will experience healing in our lives when we use our oil, because
Mm-hmm.
it brings up that healing. The reality is you're thinking, oh, I'm just doing that for someone else because I'm just going to go love them because they need. Actually, the moment you go loving on someone, the moment your heart, oh my gosh, the moment your heart is going to feel like so full and
Yeah.
so embraced, because that is the very purpose of you having that oil within.
Yes. Yes. And I guess the final thing I want to say to wrap this up, this beautiful conversation up, is this final picture I want to leave us
Yeah.
with is that this oil doesn't run out, right?
Yes.
It
Yes.
actually doesn't run out, and that's a hard concept to kind of grasp. It doesn't seem
Mm.
true because we've all used a bottle of oil and it gets to the end. But this is the picture that I want to leave all of us with, is the oil's not going to run out, right? Because come back to the seed, come back to the origin. The origin of where that oil comes from is within the seed. And then I want you to think about the apple tree, right? That little seed goes into the ground, it dies. Hard
Yeah.
outer shell comes off. This beautiful apple tree grows.
Yeah.
Then there is multiplication and abundance. Like there is more apples than you're going to need in your lifetime on this tree
Mm.
in that season, right?
Mm.
Not all of those apples are going to be used. There is so much abundance. So there are going to be apples that drop to the ground. And these apples have 5 or 6 seeds in them. They drop to the ground, those seeds die. Now, that's not just one more apple tree growing. That's 5 or 6 apple trees growing from one tree. You think about how many apples would drop to the ground. And that is the picture. And that is the proof in physical nature that we have
Yes.
around us, that we can see with our eyeballs. That is the proof that the oil will not run out. When you start living from that place of truth, when you start allowing that process of oil extraction to happen in your life and you
Mm.
start using your oil, it's time to use your oil. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Cultivating Clarity. We hope you found some inspiration, had a good laugh, and maybe found a new perspective. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with our latest episodes. And if there was something you particularly liked in this show, please share it with a friend. We'd also love to connect with you on social, so come and find us at Intentional Studios and I Am the Freedom Collective for more fun and insights. Links are going to be in the show notes.
And if you have a topic that you would like us to cover, drop us a message or a comment. And remember to keep cultivating your clarity and appreciate the small joys in life. See you next time. Bye-bye.